Is Africa selling its soul for quick cash? Let's find out. Hi there, my name is Janita Maaya. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Let's dive right in. Now, in the DRC Congo, a few Chinese men were caught with 12 bars of gold hidden under their seats or hidden in the seats of the vehicle that they were using for transportation. And they also happened to have some cash with them. I think it was like 80,000 USD cash. I want you guys to watch this clip before I actually get into what I want to talk about today.
To a population of about 40,000. Still, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, 3 Chinese nationals have been arrested with 12 gold bars and $800,000 in cash in the eastern part of the country. The gold and money was hidden under the seats of the vehicle they were traveling in. He said the operation to arrest the men had been kept secret after the recent release of another group of Chinese nationals accused of running an illegal gold mine in the area. The eastern DR Congo has abundant reserves of gold, diamonds and minerals used to make batteries for mobile phones and electric vehicles. This mineral wealth has been plundered by foreign groups since the colonial era and is one of the main reasons why the region has been plagued by instability for the last 30.
Now, point of correction, that it was actually 8,000 USD in cash. And when I saw this clip, of course, I would be outraged at the Chinese and say, oh my God, like if they were actually mining legally, then why were they hiding this gold, under their vehicles? Because I do believe that if you're mining the right way, you can definitely get the papers for you to be able to do what it is that you want to do with the gold and transport it in and out of the country as you would wish. There would be no need for you to actually go ahead and hide the gold. And if you've been on my channel, I've talked about Africa and its resources a while back, but I think I'll just bring it back for you guys. I wanted us to talk about the resource curse, right? Google has it that Africa holds 30% of the world's mineral resources, yet most of its people live in poverty. Now, out of the 10 poorest countries in the world, 9 of those countries are from this continent. And that begs to ask the question, like, how is it that a continent that is rich in all these resources has, all this poverty infesting it? And we look at countries like Congo that, Congo is blessed with minerals, like blessed, right? But a country like that has been unstable for a long time. Obviously, that's because of like what's happening with the rebels and whatnot. But let's not look away from the fact that they have all these mineral resources, but they also have the poorest people on this continent, right? There's a lot of illegal mining happening in the Congo, and then we see Chinese nationals like this, trying to hide gold that they're taking from these people. Like, who knows, if they were not caught, where would they have ended up? Most of these foreigners come to these African countries, get all the minerals that they can, and then they do not reinvest back into the country, or they do not grow the economy of said country. They take the gold and then decide to grow their home countries, and that in itself is a problem. I want you guys to watch this clip about the definition of a resource curse, or like an understanding of the resource curse, how one country can have so much, it can have plenty, and then it can lack in the standard of living.
How is it that some countries that discover huge oil reserves or natural resources on their soil actually end up worse off because of it? The answer lies in something called the resource curse. Take, for example, the Democratic Republic of Congo, where over half of the world's cobalt, a necessary element for electric vehicles, now comes from. Despite Congo's GDP growing by 700% in the last 10 years, their poverty rate hasn't reduced meaningfully at all in the last decade. So how does a country avoid this paradox of plenty? Since most resource-cursed countries don't rely on tax revenue from their own citizens, governments are much less likely to be held accountable. But if these governments mandated a percentage of foreign investment into other economic sectors, they'd probably have a shot at breaking the curse. One such example is Botswana, which went from being solely reliant on its diamond industry to the safest country in Africa by 2022. It's now rated a safer country than the United Kingdom, its former colonizer.
There you have it. That is what the resource curse is about. But let's talk about the role of foreign exploiters. Okay. Now, when you think of African countries, most of the people who are making it big from these resources, guess what? They are not African. Most of the people who benefit from these resources are foreign nationals, right? And the Chinese, unfortunately, is like on the forefront of everything, you know? And the reason why these foreign exploiters are able to do what it is that they do is because of a high demand, obviously, and a weak. I do believe that the reason why these foreign nationals are able to do what they do in said foreign countries is because of our weak regulatory, systems or frameworks, for most African countries. Because I'm sorry, but if you go to a certain place and you notice a gap, you notice that, you know what, this is where I can fix myself. This is where I come in. I know that most Africans are greedy, no offense. In terms of government, most Africans are greedy, right? There's a lot of greed, there's a lot of demand for these resources, and then there's a lot of complicity. Like, there's a lot of what can it benefit me? When we were kids, we had a funny, so Ugandans, I think slogan or motto is for good in my country. But when we started learning about corruption, our teacher told us most politicians, it was for good and my stomach. Like it is for God and me and my family and the people who come after me. So when these foreigners come and see that, hey, you know what, this is what we can exploit. We can use our money to make sure we get in. And most times people are not even looking at the long run. They're not looking at what they can be able to get from this. They're looking at, what can I do, for myself and for my family, right? In Ghana, the Chinese are quote-unquote allegedly heavily involved in illegal mining. There's a thing called galamsey, and I think the lady's going to describe it in the video. It's mainly meaning like take all you can and sell all you can, in my own words, and there's like a lot of deforestation that is happening, a lot of poisoned water resources, a lot of pits that are left open, and so much more. And despite the Ghana government trying to get a hold of these people who are involved in illegal mining, I mean, most times they fall through the cracks. If you watch the first video in the beginning, the gentleman said they had just released a few Chinese with the same issue, and then they got these ones indulging in the same thing, right? I do want you guys to watch this clip about illegal mining in Namibia. Shout out to this gentleman who was really brave for speaking up and for saying something, because at the end of the day, if we do not decide to stand up for ourselves, we'll be extinct.
When are we stopping? When are you stopping? You are still continuing with the stealing of the resources. When are you stopping, gentlemen? These guys, they are thinking you guys are joking here around.
Where's your boss?
When are you stopping the stealing of our resources? When are you stopping? Those trucks that left here, they have got all on them. They have got all on them. Now you guys are here to steal our resources and our future. It's not good like that, Joe. It's not good like that. These are our resources. Guys, just be careful, guys. It has been blasted, so it might be.
As you can see, this is massive illegal mining activities that the government is turning a blind eye on. We can guess the amounts of income that they are generating from here for around 270 million per batch that they are exporting. So they are exporting lots and lots of ore from our country without proper and due process being followed.
Now, the gentleman said this is happening and the government is turning a blind eye. Let's talk about the African government in general. Would you say that the African government is a facilitator and protector of whatever it is that is happening to this continent, right? I do feel like most, let's ask ourselves the questions. Are African governments actually protecting their people or their resources, or are they facilitating the exploration for personal gain? Like I mentioned, for God and my stomach, which is the motto of most people, right? Now, let's look at the corruption, the for God and my stomach. Dum dum dum. Most leaders accept bribes. Most leaders allow illegal mining to continue because they have a personal gain from it, because there's a kickback that they gain from it. They're not looking at this mine could help this town. No, they're looking at this mine could make all the money in the world, and then they'll give me a certain amount of money, and then I'll be able to just cruise through it, right? And it is this same corruption that takes me back to the first video. The arrested Chinese smugglers had previously been released without prosecution after they'd been caught participating in illegal mining. And then they get these other nationals also who were doing illegal mining, because why do they have that gold, right? And it's a cycle that keeps on going. It's a cycle that is connected. It keeps on rotating. It keeps on going. It's the same thing over and over again. And things like us having a weak enforcement. I always tell people, why would you give a gun to a hungry person? We know that most people in these positions are not well paid. They are underpaid, first of all. So you can't tell someone who's underpaid to think of the future of the country, because he's thinking of what he's going to eat. Someone like that is not thinking ahead. And it's things like this that kind of lay a bed for all these other things to happen. We can blame the government all we want. We can say, oh, the government, but the government is here, but then there's some middlemen here that are benefiting, some local elites who are getting this money. There's some local elites who are getting this cash. There's some local elites who are doing all that they can to make sure these foreigners can come in and do their illegal mining. Things like land grabs, they're helping them grab land from some poor woman in the village who doesn't know what gold she's sitting on. She just knows she has land. She bought land. But here comes someone convincing her on behalf of the foreigners that you get more money for this land, not telling her that, hey, your land actually has a lot of gold. And we also have leaders who sell off land to local communities without consulting their communities, because sometimes a local leader will be in charge of a certain part of land, but he will see how he can make more money and then not tell the community that, hey, I sold off this football pitch so that these guys can come in and do what they can, But that being said, what's the true cost of this exploitation? What's the true cost of this illegal mining? I mentioned land grabs, and with land grabs comes social displacement. People are displaced from their original land, and then they're told, to go elsewhere. They're completely uprooted. Sometimes with no compensation, sometimes with little compensation, for them to go find a life elsewhere. And no one cares, right? No one matters. Like, what is happening to her? Like, no one wants to know. Obviously, I feel like I'm back in SST. Obviously, we look at things like environmental destruction, the deforestation of lots and lots of land, just so that they can be able to access the resources that are underneath, trees that could have helped to the environment and whatnot. All that is being taken down, and then in turn that leaves the land barren for these people to just do what they can, because once they take the resources, there's no land reclamation for them to do what it is that they want to do with that land. And after everything, like I mentioned, these foreigners are not reinvesting that money into the country that they're doing their mining from. They are taking the money to their hometown, to their home countries, and that is who they are truly developing, where the rest of Africa suffers. Please watch this clip.
Tracts of land in Ghana have been taken over by illegal miners who have left a trail of damage on the country's forests, farmland and water system. Many of the perpetrators are said to be small-scale miners. However, of late, a significant number of large mining firms have joined the fray, operating against the law and leaving behind huge pits of land that cannot be used for habitation, farming or commercial development. On Wednesday, October 2nd, Ghana's Director of Intelligence Analysis at the Security Ministry, Victoria Sam, said at a conference in Accra that illegal mining poses a severe threat to the country's natural resources and the livelihoods of countless citizens. Some reassured Ghanaians of the government's commitment to confront the menace.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is what happens if we keep allowing certain things like this to happen. Now, all that is said, what's the solution? I've talked about the problem of, broken it down, but what's the solution? To me, I think we can have so many solutions. We can have solutions like strengthening laws, transparency in deals, Pan-African collaboration, which are really important. I did note them down here. Which are really important, but I think the biggest solution of all is community ownership. I believe that if we made sure that local communities have a stake in how the resources are managed, if it's a group of them and they have a stake in how the resources are managed, that they will make sure the benefits are also shared equally. Not just one person who is the head, no, a community as a whole can come together and say, hey, we have gold in this district. So what can we do to make sure we benefit our kids, the kids that are coming after them? I do believe that is at the heart of everything. The community ownership is really important. Now, things like stop corruption are also important. I would dream that we could all stop corruption and then, do what's best for the people who are coming. Is it before or after us? People who are coming after us, our kids who are coming after us, right? If Africa doesn't take control of its resources, then who will? We'll look back in 50 years and ask ourselves, why did we sell land for some loose change? Why did we sell our souls? So if you're an African watching this, get it together. We can do this. I highly believe that we can work towards being people that can add on to society, or people that can make sure that these resources are mined the proper way, and then the benefits are shared among the communities, and that we grow as a whole, right? Now, guys, I've come to the end of this episode. Let me know what you think, and Happy New Year once again. If you are new here, please do subscribe. 61% of you guys have not subscribed, and that breaks my heart, but please do subscribe and let me know what you think in the comment section. I'd love to hear your opinion. I will see you guys next time, but before I see you guys next time, I do have some shirts called Uganda Looks Good on Me, so please be sure to check that out and support your girl. Thank you.